In this video, I'm going to show you how to factor out a greatest common factor. So first, we're going to look at this expression over here on the left, the 9x to the fourth plus 6x cubed minus 12x squared. If we first look at the coefficients, the 9, the 6, and the negative 12, the greatest common factor that goes into those, what they all have in common is they can all be divisible by 3. So as I write down my greatest common factor over here, the first part of it is going to be 3. And as I look at the x to the fourth, the x cubed, and the x squared, I want to figure out, well, how many variables do all three terms have in common? And so this one here has 4 x's, this one here has 3 x's, this one here has 2 of them. So the most I could pull out from any one term would be 2. Right, I can't take out an x cubed because this one here only has x squared. So my greatest common factor then is going to be 3x squared. So when we factor by greatest common factor, essentially what we're doing is you're doing the opposite of the distributive property, whereas normally we have something outside of a parenthesis and we distribute it over multiplication or we multiply over addition or subtraction. Here we're going to do the opposite of that. So I want to make it so I have 3x squared on the outside, and then on the inside of the parentheses I'm going to find what 3 terms I would need in order to make it all equal this here. So for the first spot I have to think 3x squared times what gives me 9x to the fourth. So 3x squared times 3x squared would equal 9x to the fourth. And then for my next term, I have to think 3x squared times what gives me 6x cubed. And so that would be 3 times 2 gives me 6. X squared times x would give me x cubed, so that term is going to be 2x. And then for the last one, we have 3x squared times what gives me that negative 12x squared. Well, 3 times negative 4 would give me negative 12, and x squared would just stay as x squared. So you can see this here is what the function or the expression would look like after I factored out a greatest common factor of 3x squared. Basically, you see that every single term was divided by the greatest common factor. So if I did 9x to the fourth divided by 3x squared, that gave me this 3x squared right here. If I did 6x cubed divided by 3x squared, that gave me this 2x right there. And if I did the last one, and negative 12x squared divided by 3x squared, same thing. I would see that the x squareds would cancel. Negative 12 divided by negative 3 would just be negative 4. Another way I can check my work is if I think about redistributing the 3x squared, it should equal my original equation again. All right, we're not going to do that. We want to leave our answer just like that. When we have a more complicated example like we see over here, we want to use the same process. So again, the greatest common factor for all of the coefficients, the 15, the negative 10, and the 30, is going to be, well, what number is divisible into all of them? And so that's going to be 5. 5 is the biggest number that goes into 15, negative 10, and positive 30. All right. And then for the variables, we want to think, well, for A, how many can we pull out from each term? And it's always going to end up being the one with the smallest exponent. So this term has 2 a's, this one has 4, this one has 8. So I can't pull out more than 2 from any one term. So it's going to be 5a. And I look at the b variable, and this has 3 of them, this has 2, this has 1. That's the most I can take out from any one term, right? It's the smallest exponent, so it's going to be 5ab. That's going to be my greatest common factor. So just like we did over here, essentially I'm doing the opposite of the distributive property, where I'm dividing each one of these terms by 5ab, because that was my greatest common factor. So if I divide 15a squared b cubed by 5ab, it looks real complicated, but all we do is we're going to do the number divided by the number, the variable divided by the variable, and then the second variable divided by the second variable. So the first thing we have down is we have our greatest common factor, 5ab, open parentheses, And inside, I should have 3 terms because we had 3 terms up here. So 15 divided by 5 is 3. A squared divided by A is going to be A. B cubed divided by B is going to be B squared. And then we have 10 divided by 5, or negative 10 divided by 5, so that's minus 2. And I have a to the 4th divided by a, that's going to be a cubed. B squared divided by b is going to be b. Moving on to the last term. 30 divided by 5 is going to be positive 6. A to the 8th divided by a, it's just going to give me a to the 7th. B divided by b is going to cancel out altogether. So that would be my final simplified answer after I factor out the greatest common factor, 5ab. Thank you for watching.